Deep within the frozen heart of the forest, a nightmare awaits. The Wendigo, a creature of unfathomable horror, its eyes burn with a malevolent hunger. They pierce the twilight, searching for prey. Imagine a figure gaunt and skeletal. Its skin is stretched tight, as pale as death. Bones jut out like claws. Its breath steams in the frigid air, a ghastly parody of life. The stench of decay clings to it, a warning of its gruesome nature. The Wendigo is the embodiment of winter's cruelty. It is a creature born of starvation and despair, and it craves only one thing: human flesh. The Wendigo legend originates from the Algonquian people of North America. They tell stories of a spirit, ancient and evil. It lurks in the wilderness, waiting for the weak and vulnerable. It is not born a monster. The Wendigo was once human. Driven to the brink by famine, a soul can be corrupted. The act of consuming another human being twists them. It transforms them into a grotesque mockery of life. The Wendigo becomes a slave to its insatiable hunger. It is cursed to wander the frozen wasteland. It seeks to satisfy its endless craving for human flesh. The Wendigo is a predator of unmatched cunning. It moves through the forest with unnatural stealth. Its footsteps are silent on the snow. Its senses are keen, able to detect the slightest scent of prey. But the Wendigo is more than just a hunter. It is a creature of the supernatural. It possesses a chilling strength. It can mimic human voices, luring unsuspecting victims into its grasp. Some say it can even control the elements. It unleashes blizzards to trap its prey. The Wendigo is a force of nature as unforgiving as the winter itself. The legend of the Wendigo has instilled a deep-seated fear in those who dwell in the wilderness. But the creature's influence extends beyond its physical form. It can infect the minds of men, twisting them from within. This is the Wendigo psychosis, a terrifying condition. It preys on the weak and isolated. Symptoms manifest as an overwhelming desire for human flesh. Victims experience vivid nightmares. They are haunted by visions of cannibalistic acts. The Wendigo whispers in their minds, urging them to embrace their darkest urges. Throughout history, there have been chilling accounts of Wendigo encounters. In 1661, Jesuit missionaries documented a strange phenomenon. They described individuals gripped by an insatiable canine hunger for human flesh. These unfortunate souls, driven mad by starvation or the Wendigo's influence, turned on their own. They devoured their families and neighbors. Their actions served as a grim reminder of the darkness that lurks within the human heart. The legend of the Wendigo is more than just a scary story. It is a cautionary tale about the fragility of the human psyche and the horrors that can arise when we succumb to our darkest impulses. One of the most infamous cases of alleged Wendigo possession occurred in 1878, deep in the heart of the Canadian wilderness. Swift Runner, a Plains Cree man, was driven to desperate measures during a particularly harsh winter. The biting cold and relentless snow made survival nearly impossible. With food scarce and his family starving, he committed an unspeakable act. The isolation and hunger gnawed at their sanity, pushing them to the brink. Swift Runner killed and consumed his family. The horror of his actions shocked the community and left a lasting scar on the collective memory. He claimed to be possessed by a Wendigo, a malevolent spirit said to drive people to cannibalism in times of extreme hunger. He said the creature had driven him to his gruesome actions. The Wendigo in Cree folklore is a symbol of insatiable greed and hunger, a monster born from the darkest corners of human nature. Whether he truly believed he was possessed or was simply a desperate man driven mad, Swift Runner's story remains a chilling example of the Wendigo's power. The line between myth and reality blurred in the face of such horror. His tale is a stark reminder of the thin line between civilization and savagery, and the darkness that can consume us when we are pushed to our limits. The Swift Runner tragedy serves as a haunting testament to the human capacity for both survival and destruction. Section 7. Echoes of Evil in Roseau. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw a string of unsettling events in Roseau, Minnesota. This small, seemingly peaceful town, nestled in the northern part of the state, became the epicenter of a series of mysterious and terrifying occurrences that would haunt its residents for generations. Locals whispered of a shadowy figure stalking the woods. This figure, often seen at twilight, was said to move with an eerie silence, blending seamlessly with the shadows of the dense forest. It was tall and emaciated, with glowing eyes that seemed to pierce the darkness. These eyes, glowing like embers in the night, were the only features that stood out in the otherwise indistinguishable silhouette. These sightings were often followed by unexplained disappearances or deaths. People would venture into the woods and never return, their fates sealed by an unknown force. The victims were often found mutilated. Their bodies bore marks of a savage attack, as if they had been torn apart by a wild beast. Their bodies drained of blood. This gruesome detail added to the horror, suggesting a predator that was not only violent, but also had a thirst for blood. Fear gripped the small community. The townsfolk, once close-knit and trusting, began to look over their shoulders, wary of the shadows that seemed to grow longer each day. Many believed a Wendigo was responsible for the carnage. This creature from Native American folklore was said to embody the spirit of the cold, desolate wilderness, preying on those who dared to enter its domain. The stories from Roseau cemented the Wendigo's place in local folklore. These tales, passed down through generations, became a part of the town's identity, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the tree line. They serve as a reminder that some legends refuse to die. These stories, etched into the collective memory of the town, continue to be told, each retelling adding a new layer of fear and fascination. Instead, they linger in the shadows, waiting to claim their next victim. The legend of the Wendigo remains alive, a haunting echo of evil that continues to reverberate through the forests of Roseau. Section 8. The Wendigo Slayer. Jack Fiddler, an Oji-Cree chief and medicine man, became a legendary figure in the fight against the Wendigo. His name is still spoken with reverence and awe among his people. He claimed to have killed 14 of the creatures throughout his lifetime. Each encounter was a battle of wits, strength, and spiritual power. He used his knowledge of traditional medicine and spiritual rituals to combat the evil spirits. These rituals were passed down through generations, each shrouded in mystery and sacredness. Fiddler believed that some Wendigos were sent by enemy shamans. These shamans, he thought, wielded dark powers to curse his people. Others were simply individuals possessed by the creature's malevolent spirit. The transformation was terrifying, turning loved ones into monstrous beings. He saw it as his duty to protect his people from this threat. His bravery and dedication were unmatched, and he was willing to sacrifice everything for their safety. Despite his good intentions, Fiddler's actions eventually led to his downfall. The modern world could not understand his ways, and he was seen as a murderer rather than a protector. He was arrested in 1907 for murder. The charges were a result of his last act of slaying a Wendigo, which was seen as taking a human life. He committed suicide in his cell. The weight of his actions and the misunderstanding of his intentions were too much to bear. Fiddler's story is a tragic reminder of the clash between tradition and modernity. It highlights the struggle of indigenous cultures to preserve their heritage in a rapidly changing world. Section 9. A Modern Menace. While the frequency of reported Wendigo psychosis cases has diminished in recent times, the legend of the creature persists. Sightings still occur, particularly in the remote wilderness areas of North America. Northern Ontario, Canada, has become a hotbed of Wendigo lore. The town of Kenora is even dubbed the Wendigo capital of the world. Locals and tourists alike share stories of encounters with the creature. These modern-day accounts often describe a similar creature. It is tall and emaciated, with glowing eyes and a haunting wail that chills the bone. The Wendigo continues to capture the imagination. It serves as a reminder that some legends are more than just stories. Section 10. The legend endures. The Wendigo is more than just a monster. It is a symbol of the darkness that resides within us all. It represents the dangers of greed, gluttony, and the loss of our humanity. The legend serves as a warning. It reminds us to control our darker impulses and to never take our blessings for granted. For in the depths of winter, when the wind howls like a hungry beast, the Wendigo is always listening. The Wendigo is a terrifying reminder that some legends never truly die. They linger in the shadows of our collective consciousness, waiting for the right moment to re-emerge.